All right. Welcome to this week's episode of What We're Listening To. This is Nick.
And Courtney.
Hey, Court. How's it going?
Hey, Nick. It's going.
What are we listening to here?
We're listening to some Richie Havens. I brought this song this week. This is something that I've talked about before, but familiar songs bring me lots of comfort in, when I'm feeling stressed. So if you haven't recognized the tune yet, it's Here Comes the Sun.
Yeah. And this is very different than obviously the original Beatles version.
Right.
It's a lot of fun.
Around the same time, though, so Richie Havens actually played this song at Woodstock in 1969. And you probably know this, but I don't know if some of the other listeners know this, that he opened Woodstock.
Yeah, I did know that, actually.
So that's super cool.
And I like the way that he interpreted the song for himself. We did that episode last week of What We're Listening To, which was about, inspiration going from black artists to white artists. And I think this was a good example of someone like Richie Havens, who was a very instrumental person in the black community, taking a white artist like George Harrison's music and making it his own, which was cool to see.
They talk a lot about like his strumming technique, that it's very percussive, the way that he does his fingers on the strings. You can hear that. But yeah, I think I actually I don't know if I like this version better, but I think it's really great. And I wanted to talk about Woodstock a little bit too.
Well, I'm all ears. Let's go for it.
Your favorite topic. So I was just looking up Richie Havens and his intro to Woodstock. I didn't know that he had opened the festival, and apparently was did the opening act, and he was supposed to do his little set time, whatever. And Santana was supposed to come on after him.
Right.
And they weren't there yet.
Yeah.
So
it was like chaos getting in and out of that festival. I don't know if that's why Santana was late, but apparently there was such crowds and all that they couldn't get buses in and out.
So they were just like, Richie, keep playing. So he was like, all right, and apparently just kept rifling through his songs and just what he knew to keep people entertained.
Huh.
And so he ended up doing a very long set to kind of kick Woodstock off. So that's interesting. And people might know his song Freedom, which he did, which is literally just the word freedom over and over again, but it's still this beautiful song, even though it's only one word. But I just think, thinking about Woodstock and what it symbolizes, this kind of protest and active resistance and this focus on music that really inspired people to come together as one to resist what was going on in the world at the moment and have this weekend of joy and togetherness.
Right.
I think that is important in today's context and what's going on. And so we talked about this last week, how music helps us cope and process emotions and process feelings, and I think Woodstock's a perfect example of that, and so I wanted to bring this song
that's
back
cool
up.
That was a good story. I didn't realize that he had to do that, or that he was tasked with doing that on the fly. That sounds intimidating, to be honest with you, but obviously he probably had a good time doing it. So what's going on this week? I'm drinking Sip of Sunshine. Have you heard of it?
So, I have heard of it. Nick, fun fact for everyone, Nick has recently gotten into IPAs.
I just graduated from really crappy beers.
He was a Bud Light guy. I'm outing you.
Yeah, okay.
I'm outing you right now as a Bud Light guy, and craft beers become a really popular thing, and everybody enjoys.
Really
this.
recently, only craft beers have been really popular in the last like 6 months.
He brought the Sip of Sunshine home the other day, and he's like, "A Sip of Sunshine? Have you ever heard of it?"
I didn't say it quite like that. I just said it slightly differently than that. I have no way to defend myself.
No,
Look,
we're glad you're
I'm
in
now
the
on the
IPA
IPA train, and that's a byproduct of being home all the time, and just sitting around and wanting to drink like 1 or 2 beers, and not really wanting to drink 7 Bud Lights or 10 Bud Lights, because I don't want to go to the store as often.
Yeah, welcome to the party.
Yeah, I'm cool
IPA
now.
party.
I'm cool now, guys. So, anything else? What else did we do? Did we have some fun this week? Yeah, we did. We
got
played a little music.
Played some music, got a change of scenery, did some kayaking and some biking. Just trying to get outside and enjoy this nicer weather. Oh, I did learn something fun this week.
What?
Is that we have a listener from Australia.
Oh, right. You told me who this person was, but I totally forgot. So
yeah, a listener from right outside Melbourne. So that's exciting.
Yeah.
And I don't know where the rest of the listeners are from, but tweet at Talkin' Folk and tell us where you're from, because that's fun to learn.
Yeah. I actually can see on the back end of the statistics portal, not who is listening, but like where people listen or download from. And I did see some Australia downloads, but I don't know, you don't know where they are unless they reach out to you or talk to you about it. So that's cool that you were able to piece that together.
Yeah. I mean, I would love to know if you tweet at us and tell us where you're from. That'd be cool. We're from Boston, and yeah, it's fun to hear where people are listening from. And Australia's, I mean, Nick and I used to live in Sydney,
right.
So it's not crazy. We still know people over there, but awesome to hear that we have supporters.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for tuning in. Okay, let's go to another song. The next one, so we have a song that I think I pulled in, which is by Courtney Marie Andrews. And I was actually really attracted to the name of the song.
Thank you. Oh,
I wasn't talking about you. I am attracted to you. You're my wife. But
phew.
But I was attracted to the name of this song. It made me want to click it. And I don't mean that like in like it's a clickbait kind of thing. It's called It Must Be Someone Else's Fault. And I was like, I have no idea what this song's about. I'm going to listen to it. And I actually went into it thinking like, is this like a political song, like a Trump kind of related song, because people are criticizing him for taking no blame for like anything bad that's happening, or like after criticizing people for not taking responsibility for things in leadership positions. So I'll get off my political soapbox now, but it's actually about introspection. Is that a word?
That's a word.
Yeah, being introspective on your relationships. And the way that she kind of wrote this song is like the older version of herself talking to the younger version of herself about like, when you're young, you're gonna blame a failed relationship on everybody else around you, but when you're older, you look back and think, oh, that's that is just kind of my fault, or who I am, or how I handled it, or whatever. And it's not like she directly hits you in the face. You kind of have to watch the music video to kind of piece all these things together. But I thought it was a really nice reflection on just like how people grow, change. We're doing a lot of changing in society right now, and I thought that was another way to look at that same kind of mental growth. Yeah. So this is It Must Be Someone Else's Fault by Courtney Marie Andrews.
Hollywood and Vine, passing through your neighborhood. Had a feeling I should stop by, read you a line from some old romance book.
So this part of the song, this is like the reflective back. It's been years since we've talked and all that.
Yeah. Showing up at his door, reading him romantic poems.
Yeah, here's how I've grown.
How did we ever go our separate ways? Oh, but it must be someone else's fault. Must be someone else's heart who tainted mine. Oh, can I be to blame for the story of this pain? Oh, it must be someone else's fault.
And she has a new album coming out, I think in July. So I'm interested to see what that's going to be like. Should be
Crazy, like the women in my family.
Yeah, I know what you mean though by the clickbait of the title of the song. I do the same thing. I feel like I judge and pick first off of an album or playlist or whatever based off of the title.
It's like picking a bottle of wine.
Or a book.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you go by the label or like the book cover. We all do it.
Yep.
And they say, don't judge a book by its cover.
I've never heard of that. Have you heard of Sip of Sunshine? And in this verse, she was almost like, you know, looking back to when she was in that moment in time, just talking about, like, this is just how women are in my family. And this is just, like, you know, making excuses, basically, for her not identifying herself as part of a problem in a failed relationship.
I mean, I think the human brain is great at that, right? This is coming back to the dialogues that we've been having with ourselves about racism and like sitting with discomfort. Nobody likes to be uncomfortable.
Right.
So somebody makes you aware of mistakes that you've made, whether it's in a relationship or in society, whatever. Suddenly you're like, oh my God, I'm uncomfortable. I'm gonna make all these excuses to justify why I've acted this way. So I feel like it must be someone else's fault is a feeling that probably resonates with a lot of us.
For the story of this pain. Oh, it must be someone else's fault.
That song is very, in terms of songwriting, is very mature, like an idea that you'd hear from like a Joni Mitchell or Bob Dylan, like introspective, you know, about feelings and relationships in her own way, which is cool. And I just really enjoyed listening to it from the first time I heard it. So
yeah, she's got a great voice.
Yeah, she does. Okay, cool. We got another one, which I think is a pick-me-up song, is what you said on the in the liner notes that I was reading before the show.
It's not.
Someone feed me a line.
And I don't usually go with sad songs. This is a good one though. And I didn't actually realize how sad it was until I started reading the backstory.
You see, I've said this before, and I'm not sure if I've said it on the What We're Listening To show, but I love sad songs that are disguised in like upbeat, happier music, and the opposite as well. Songs you don't realize that are sad songs, or no, that is the same thing.
What?
I like songs that don't seem like they're happy or sad when you first listen to them, and then when you do a deeper dive, one way or the other, they seem different than what you initially thought.
I don't know that it's the music or the lyrics necessarily playing a trick on you in this instance. I think it's the backstory about this album. So this is a song called Thrift Store by Bowerbirds. The last time this band released an album was in 2012.
Okay.
So it's been a long time. They were previously a trio. They split up. Phil Moore and Beth Tacular? I think that's
like
right.
a stage type name?
No, it's the two of the three people that were in the band, Phil and Beth. They were married and they had a baby.
Oh, like Beth space Tacular, not like she's Beth-tacular.
Beth-tastic.
Yeah, I mean,
It's Phil-tastic and Beth-tacular.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking.
No. They, Fillmore, Beth-tacular, got married, had a baby, and then ended their romantic and artistic partnership. So the band Bowerbirds is essentially split up.
Okay.
And this new music, this song in particular, we can get into it, but you know, their upcoming album is about new endings, beginnings, kind of this materialization, there we go, missing a Z, of their relationship and everything else that goes along with it. So let's give it with that upbeat note.
Yeah, I mean, I'll hit play and see where that takes us, I guess, huh? All right, here's Thrift Store by Bowerbirds.
Well, and I forgot to say, now, this is...
Wait, okay, go ahead.
Okay, sorry. Bowerbirds is now just one person. It's now just Fillmore.
Okay.
He's still recording as Bowerbirds. This is his new music. He's by himself now. No longer a trio.
Okay.
End scene.
Cool. Well, here we go. I'll start it over for Phil's sake.
No use selling those lonely chairs, to the void they go and back again. Now how do I keep framing these stories then, feeling wild and wrought by some future hand, where we swung from the cables of evening's row, where the nighthawks come tumbling through the pink and gold. Tell me, how do we get back to feeling the glow of the earth?
So if you couldn't tell, it's about letting go of your possessions, bringing them to a thrift store. And he really kind of touches on all the memories that are tied to specific items, which I know you love. You love nostalgia.
Yeah, I really do. Is he literally going through items that are from his relationship, you think?
It's hard to tell. It's just kind of, the song is nostalgia. It's about things, it's about memories. Like, he kind of like swings in between, must be like what's going through his head as he's going through things in his house or apartment or whatever. You know, it's like, okay, what memory is tied to this chair?
Yeah.
And he goes in and out of, you know, that particular line about something that happened in the evening, that's a memory that he's remembering once he thinks about certain items. So I think everybody has that. You know, you have items that mean a lot to you for no other reason, like it's a chair or it's a record or it's a whatever, but they're tied to these really specific memories.
Yeah, there's a fine line in nostalgia and reminiscing that leads to, either of them in different ways, leads to sadness in my mind. And I've talked about that with you before, like things, objects, things that remind you of loved ones that are no longer around or whatever. And like that, it's almost like the edge of a knife blade. Like, to me, it's so sensitive between like, this is a happy memory from this item, or this is now a sad memory from this item.
Yeah. And I feel like we've tried to define those two things before. Like, is reminiscing, to me, I feel like reminiscing could be both happy and sad, and nostalgia is the same, but for you, nostalgia means like mostly sad memories.
That's correct. Is this therapy? What is this?
I don't... That's a good song. I'm excited for the rest of that Bowerbirds album to come out. 2012 is a long time ago.
Yeah.
to have put out new music. So there's a few new songs that he's put out. I haven't listened to all of them, so I don't know if they're all that sad. But if you're a sad song lover like Nick...
Well, I'm going to assume that there's probably a fair bit of sadness if this has happened in his personal life recently. Just an assumption. But all right, the last one that we have today is not technically a new song, but new release of the song that just came out, which is by Father John Misty. He just released a live album, which was recorded last August of 2019, called Off Key in Hamburg, which is just kind of funny. And then today I went on this whole rabbit hole of, looking into Father John Misty and doing all this reading. And Jimmy actually did an episode a while ago about Father John Misty and kind of covered some different areas, more about the songs themselves. But the guy is like a microcosm of, like, I don't even know how to say it, like depression meeting like insanity, meeting not giving a shit about what the world is around him or what people think around him, and he's just fascinating. Anyway, we were listening to this new album that came out, and in our apartment, and playing this, and Mr. Tillman came on, which is the song that we're about to play from this live release. And we both have never noticed that he says the line, Jason Isbell was there. We heard the word, we heard the name Jason Isbell, like it stuck out. Maybe he just sings it more pronounced in this album version. And I was like, is that in the recorded version, or is that just something that he ad-libbed in the show? Maybe he was opening for Jason Isbell or whatever. And I go down this rabbit hole today of a couple of things. One, this song is literally just about him checking back into a hotel that he spent a lot of time in, and his conversation with the concierge. And it's all about, like, the last time you were here, you trashed the room. Like, here's a reminder of the rules of this hotel. There's a line in there about, like, don't leave the mattress out on the balcony if it's going to rain. That sort of thing. And that Jason Isbell line in there was actually... Jason Isbell was passing through the lobby when this conversation was happening, and they saw each other, greeted each other, whatever, and then Jason Isbell carried on his night. And I found a tweet that Jason Isbell replied to, which was, name a seemingly inconsequential meeting with a celebrity that you've had. And he replied to it and said, well, this one time I ran into Father John Misty in a hotel lobby, and you see how that turned out, or something like that. So it's just like a really funny story, and he's twisted this whole thing into a song. I'll let it play, and then we can check back in at a certain point.
Mr. Tillman, good to see you again. There's a few outstanding charges. Just before we check you in, see here, you left your passport in the mini fridge, and a message with the death says here the picture isn't his, or just a reminder about our policy. Don't leave your mattress in the rain. You sleep on the balcony.
So he's just going through this list of the conversation, and it was kind of just like a ridiculous reflection of that time, which I thought was really funny.
It is. I feel like Father John Misty, has this really self-deprecating kind of manner to him, if that's not obvious enough by the title of this live album. He just kind of loves to make fun of himself.
Yeah. I think that this song is I don't want to call it a guise, where he wants to talk about this hotel lobby, but I think what he's really talking about is the monotony of something in his life. Like, he's back in the same place, he's on repeat basically, and then he achieves fame, and now he's just back on, okay, now this like repetition. I haven't dove too much into the lyrics and what other things have happened in his life around it, but I think he's talking more about than just this hotel visit.
Maybe. He does write songs about wacky things, and this just is seemingly this dialogue that's happening. That he's like, look at this ridiculous dialogue that I had, where my actions came back to bite me in the butt, because now I'm here trying to check into the same hotel that I left my mattress out in the rain and my passport in the mini fridge.
Yeah, I think he's trying to have fun with it, but I think there is an underlying meaning of some sort.
Does he whistle?
Yeah, he's an awesome whistler. That whole live album is really good, and he puts on a kind of crazy show and does like a lot of little things in his live performances that are, he likes to get on his either political soapbox or social soapbox, but I think he does it in a way that's almost like he's okay. His name is Father John Misty, for Christ's sake. Like, he's what he calls himself.
His name is Josh Tillman.
But he goes by Father John Misty in like a way to like make sure that people don't take him too seriously.
Because why the hell not?
Right, exactly. So, I think that's an episode, Court.
Yeah. Great. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, and if you like what we're doing, please subscribe, give us feedback, follow us on social media, Talkin Folk on both social media platforms, Talkin Folk on both Twitter and Instagram.
Tell us what you're listening to.
That'd be cool.
Maybe we'll talk about it.
We might. We've actually done that on this show before. Something that I put on like a few weeks ago was from someone messaging me. And just a reminder, we have shirts out there right now that are going to benefit the National Museum of African American History and Culture on our website, which are at shop.johnboymedia.com. Go under our section, which is the Talkin Folk section, and that all goes, 100% of those proceeds go to that museum to preserve African American history and culture.
Awesome. Yeah, we've been thinking about ways we can use this platform to do the most we can, and we had a conversation about it last week, and we'll continue to talk about it. But if you need a new work from home outfit and t-shirt, and want to put your money towards a good cause, let's do it.
All right. Catch you on the next one.
Little darling, it seems like years since it's been here. Here comes the sun. Here comes the sun. And I say, it's all right.